Donald Trump has emerged as a peacemaker political figure.
The war will come to an end. There are certain forces behind him, more of a demonic nature. Stones will be thrown at him. He will not build anything new. He brings the energy of chaos, destruction, and change. People will die.
Donald Trump's name always appears wherever there is a certain zone of turbulence. He makes a lot of promises, he talks a lot about ending wars, he provokes very polar reactions, and opinions about him are quite ambiguous. Yaroslav, here is my first question for you. Is Donald Trump really a genuine advocate for global peace, as he so often strives to present himself as being, or perhaps he is not about that at all, but is simply a figure who is being manipulated by powerful forces behind the scenes?
Well, in reality, of course, there are certain forces behind him. There are certain people, because behind every president, there are groups of people we don't see, people we know nothing about, but who actually control these presidents. But still, every president brings his own particular energy. And it's no coincidence that these people choose one president or another so that he fulfills certain functions at a specific period of time. And Donald Trump is a person who inherently embodies and carries the energy of unpredictable chaos, and the energy of total destruction, the energy of radical change, and the specific energy that makes the old ways go away to effectively clear out the space for something entirely new, to make room for something new. That is his task. In essence, he won't be the one to build something new, but he needs to prepare the ground now for the new things that are planned by those people who stand behind him. And
Does Donald Trump actually have real power? Or is he rather just following someone's direct instructions?
yes, he also has a certain influence on the decisions made within this coalition of people who stand behind him. And his word also carries weight there, meaning he is one of them. But overall, he is a representative of the decisions that are made behind the scenes. He simply comes out and voices these decisions or takes actions that were decided beforehand.
There is such a concept as a shadow government. Is Trump one of them?
Yes, you could say he is, because he really does belong to this clan, to this group of people. Of course, there are people there who are more influential, but you could say that he is one of them, and he chose the role of doing things that would be condemned. That is, he understands this in advance. He knows that stones will be thrown at him, but he has to do what they have all decided together. They all decided.
Why is Donald Trump such a polarizing figure? People either hate him or strongly support him.
People who do things that are unconventional, who make very sharp decisions or take bold actions, they always provoke an ambiguous reaction, and people always talk about them. And this doesn't just apply to politicians. In fact, we can observe this in any field.
There is a lot going on around Donald Trump related to Ukraine, many discussions, many initiatives. He delivers numerous speeches like this and raises a lot of expectations and hopes. But there don't seem to be any concrete actions or tangible results. Why is that?
In reality, there are actions, there are certain steps being taken. It's just that what we expect to happen, or what he might be saying, isn't exactly the same as the actions that are actually taking place. These are actions that we're not told about, and which we might not see through news channels. But actions are taking place, and right now you could say there's a redistribution of the world going on, and Trump, along with his team and the people backing him, are actively participating in this process. Well, and we can basically see that right now, aside from the events in Ukraine, there are a lot of unusual things happening in the world that haven't happened before.
Does Trump actually have the real ability to end the war in Ukraine?
In fact, he's already doing this together with the British Crown. They are now implementing this plan to end the war, because basically the goals that were set at the beginning of the war by both America and Russia have already been achieved at this point, and those that haven't been achieved are no longer relevant. So now certain processes that they haven't yet managed to fully complete are wrapping up, and then the war will come to an end.
Alongside Donald Trump, the name of Elon Musk is honestly mentioned. These two individuals are spoken of in such a context that it is as if they represent a different type of consciousness, one not found among those who are, let's say, representatives of the human race. So to speak, we're talking about some kind of alien structures, systems. Let's just say they're aliens. Is there anything like that in reality when it comes to these two individuals? And here's another question. Why does this image of mystery, uncertainty, and seemingly being not of this world cling to them so strongly?
Let's put it this way, Trump does have certain connections with other civilizations. It's not like he calls up and talks to civilizations from other planets, but they do have an influence on him. And in general, these people we refer to as the shadow leadership of the world and so on, they cooperate with other civilizations. They are representatives of other civilizations. And overall, on planet Earth, there are actually many people whom we now know as humans, but who were previously beings from other planets. Not humans, but beings from other planets who are now incarnated as humans. But they still retain this consciousness, a different one, not just an earthly one. And they influence things in different ways. Elon Musk, for example, yes, indeed, his energy structure is completely unearthly if you look at him on a subtle level from the perspective of energy. And indeed, he is connected to extraterrestrial civilizations. And they are, let's say, not exactly of a benevolent type. That is, they are more of a demonic nature, perhaps even of a Martian warlike character. And
Why does that suit them so well? Why does it fit them?
what do you mean?
When you look at them and read all the conspiracy theories or some other articles that influence our consciousness, to the idea that these are unusual people, you look at them and think, yes, it really does seem true. Why does it suit them? Why does this information fit them?
Because no matter how much they try to hide or conceal this information, there is still a certain, like a character trait, a certain nature of a person that reveals what they do, what they carry, what they project.
And are there, not on such a, let's say, high level, representatives of such races, nations, I don't know how to put it correctly, on a more down to earth level?
Yes, yes, of course, there are many people who live ordinary lives, but at the same time, they can be representatives of other civilizations, more advanced, more developed. Well, actually, if you delve into this topic, there are many places and forms of life from which souls come to the planet and incarnate as humans and other living beings.
Returning to the topic of global elites, can we say that Donald Trump is a figure who actually breaks this order more than he plays by the rules of the elites?
Now is the time to break the order that existed before, and he is fulfilling this function. That is, on the one hand, he is breaking what was created before, but on the other hand, you can't really say that he is breaking it, the plans of the elites, because right now the elites' plans are to change things, the order that existed before.
I'm also curious why Trump's presidential term coincided with such a period. Turbulence all over the planet, on Earth in general? Well,
Because right now is a time when the earth, when our world as a whole is entering a period of change. That is, we see how everything around us is changing very rapidly. This was happening even before Trump, and it's happening now. And now, the people who will facilitate these changes will start to appear. People who carry the energy, this energy of destruction, the renewal of the world. These people will start to come now. And at first, there will be a few years of what seems like chaos. Something old will be broken, destroyed, while the new will not yet be something we can rely on. But over time, after these people, others will come. Those who carry not the energy of destruction, but the energy of creation, the energy of creativity, and a new order, a new system will begin to form.
what does this mean for us as people who essentially create such a reflection of reality at the level of world leaders, politicians, and Donald Trump in particular? They are like a mirror of what is happening inside us. What practical lessons can we take from this information?
We can conclude that we are all participants in the changes currently happening on the planet. And for people who try to hold on to their past experiences, it will be very difficult. And such people will most likely either die or see their lives fall apart. But those who are ready will adapt to the new conditions. People who adapt quickly in this rapidly changing world will have it easier. They will be able to adjust, and these people essentially will be the ones building the future.
Right now, there's a lot of news about Greenland in the media. Why does Trump want to take control of it?
Greenland is an unusual place in such a unique territory. It seems like everything there is covered in snow right now. There's no real active life going on there. But on the other hand, it's not just a territory. First of all, it's a very powerful, energetic place, and there are many places of power there. And people like Trump and those with him, they understand that places of power matter. They perform certain rituals, they draw energy from these places. Greenland will become a highly developed and flourishing territory in the future. As strange as it may sound now, in the future, some territories that are currently thriving will go underwater. They will be destroyed by natural disasters. And Greenland, on the contrary, will change. The climate will change, and it will become a very favorable environment for living. And these people know this, which is why they want to act in advance, to redistribute these territories so that in the future they can implement their projects there. And these people, they do not consider, as it were, short-term time and their own short-term interests. They plan for generations ahead, and they maintain this influence in the world across generations. That's why it's important to them.
You're talking about the future. What time frame are you referring to? So when is this future?
Well, it's not the near future. 2 to 3 years, it could be 50 to 100 years or even more.
A deeply controversial and widely discussed subject is the disturbing and horrific events that occurred on Epstein's Island. Is Donald Trump actually someone who was directly implicated in these serious allegations?
Yes, he is. He does have some connection to what happened generally to this person, to Epstein, and he is connected to this project, to those horrific entertainments that took place there, but not directly. That is to say, he did not personally participate or take an active part in it, but he was fully aware of exactly what was happening there, and perhaps even had some minor, secondary, and indirect organizational involvement. But he was certainly not directly present when all of these truly terrible and unspeakable horrors were actually taking place.
So he was not a participant in the actual actions that the media are currently reporting about. So let's sum up. Is Donald Trump, after all, a more constructive or destructive figure? This is
A figure that brings destruction to our society, to our world at this moment, but it is destruction. It's as if it's dictated by the times, and now the world cannot remain as it was before. Therefore, in principle, one could say that this destruction is constructive in the sense that the world is changing. And Trump is the person who supports these changes happening in the world and carries this energy. He has a very similar energy to that of Shiva. As we know, there is such a figure. And it is said that when the world comes to an end, Shiva performs his dance, which destroys everything around so that a new world can be created again. Trump has a somewhat similar energy. Well, of course, Trump is not Shiva, but he has a similar energy. That is, he now has to destroy the old system so that a new one can be built in its place. And it depends on the state of consciousness humanity will be in. The kind of life we lead, the way we think, will determine what this new system will be like. Whether it will continue to make us slaves as it did before, or if it will be a system that promotes human development, harmonious, ecological, and so on.
We are living in truly times of great change and have the opportunity to witness it.
To be witnesses and to influence the situation.
Absolutely. So, friends, please write in the comments whether you believe that Donald Trump can actually end the war in Ukraine and what question about him as a person remains interesting, relevant, and unanswered for you.
By the way, I read all the comments people leave us on YouTube, and based on what you write, I shape the topics for our next broadcasts. So you are also participants in this process, so subscribe and share your suggestions.